Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to JQT Vancouver's Jewish Queer Trans Heritage Month. My name is Carmel Tanaka, and I help run JQT Vancouver. Pronounced JQT, we are a group dedicated to creating connections and seeking space to celebrate our intersectional identities as Jews of all ages, of diverse sexual orientations, as well as gender and sexual identities. And we do this by queering Jewish space and Jewifying queer space in and around Vancouver, BC, Canada. That's for those tuning in outside of Canada. With gratitude, we hold tonight's performances on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, as well as Okanagan peoples. It is Jewish Heritage Month, and it is currently being celebrated across North America. While queer and trans Jewish people are typically underrepresented in such community-wide celebrations, we are here to queer up Jewish Heritage Month by gathering together and offering 3 virtual shows featuring drag, hip-hop, music, and poetry by local Jewish queer and trans artists, and as of yesterday, 1 international artist. Each show will feature a distinct theme. We've got Remembering tonight, we have Becoming next Sunday, and we'll close with Celebrating on the last Sunday of the month. So be sure to check back over the coming Sundays at 8 p.m. And if you can't make it, no worries, you can check our recorded videos from our live streams right here when it's a more convenient time for you. Many thanks to our sponsors. This neighborhood small grant project was funded by the Vancouver Foundation and administered by the Kitsilano Neighborhood House. To find out more, visit www.neighborhoodsmallgrants.ca. It is very important to JQT that even as just a small group of individual volunteers with a modest amount in the bank, we pay our artists to the best of our ability. That shows our appreciation and respect for their time and artistry. So having this grant has helped immensely. Thank you. Fortunately, JQT was in a position to add a little extra topping to artist fees to make our thank you in a multiple of Chai. Chai means life in Hebrew. The letters of Chai, Chaf, and Yud add up to 18, and so for this reason, 18 is a mystical number in Judaism. And when it comes to gifting money, we give in multiples of 18. JQT is a secular, culturally Jewish organization. Recently, we put together a virtual Seder for Passover, and we received a lot of positive feedback on how meaningful it was to have blessings offered in masculine, feminine, and non-binary Hebrew. So I was asked to recreate and reimagine candle blessings to set the mood and create space for tonight. Now, Sundays are not the typical candle lighting nights in the Jewish tradition, but it is Jewish Heritage Month. So while this is technically not kosher, I thought it would be a nice way to end prayers in honor of the theme of our showcase tonight, which is remembering. So for those who know Hebrew, instead of Ner Shel Shabbat, meaning candles for the Sabbath, we will end with Ner Shel Zechira, candles for remembering. I will be sharing our blessings in our Facebook event page following. You'll have them in Hebrew and English with a transliteration for all to follow along, as well as a link to the non-binary Hebrew grammar website created by Lior Gross and Eyal Rivlin, applied by Reb Erwin Keller and myself. So before I light the candles, though, a quick word about accessibility. We plan to edit all of tonight's live stream videos into one video, at which time we will then add captioning, at the very least, a link to a document with a transcription as soon as possible. So we thank you for your patience. The majority of tonight's content is for all ages. However, there is mature subject material in one of tonight's poems. So if you are a parent or a guardian watching with minors, the poem we are talking about is the first poem of our second poet. So I'm going to take a minute to share the lovely, let's see if I have it here. It might take a little while. I want to make sure that you have these blessings. Here we go. You know what? It might take too long to do this. Here we go. Should have had this prepared in advance. Your desktop. There we go. I want to make sure that you all have it. So I'm sharing the blessings right now. So while that's loading, I am going to set up. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel zechira. You are blessed, O God, King of the universe, who makes us holy with his commandments and commands us to light candles for remembering. Barucha atya Eloteinu ruach haolam asher kitshatnu b'mitzvoteha v'tzivatnu le'adlik ner shel zechira. You are blessed, Yah, Spirit of the world, who makes us holy with her commandments and commands us to light candles for remembering. Baruche ateya ein hechaim asher kidshenu b'mitzvotehe v'tzivenu lehadlik ner shel zechira. You are blessed, O Spring of Life, who makes us holy with their commandments and commands us to light candles for remembering. Amen. Kicking off the series tonight and beginning on the theme of remembering are two incredibly talented artists, Kay Kassirer and LJ Weisberg. So without further ado, I have the honor of introducing Kay. Kay Kassirer, they, them, is a poet, activist, youth advocate, community organizer, and sex worker. They have toured internationally with their chapbooks, Confessions of a Queer, and Unbandage the Wounds, and the anthology they curated and edited, A Horror's Manifesto, an anthology of art and writing by sex workers. Kay has earned their place on several competitive poetry final stages, notably the Capturing Fire International Queer Slam, the Canadian Festival of Spoken Word, and the Canadian Individual Poetry Slam, wherein they took third place in the nation just last year. They have also served their community as a lifelong volunteer and leader in the roles of SpeakNorth National Slammaster, and they are co-founder and director of Voices of Today. To learn more about Kay, please check out JQT's Facebook event page, and in the description, there are links to their social media handles and website. I will now end my live stream, and in a moment, Kay will begin their live stream on this event page. Please give a minute or two for the transition, and I'll see you at the end of the night. Thank you, and enjoy the evening.
Hello, shalom. My name is Kay Kassirer, and it's exciting to be here with you talking about Judaism and queerness together. I don't often get to talk about those things together, but reading my poetry, I realized I actually write about them together more than I thought I did. Because the theme of tonight is remembering, and for me, when I think about remembering in Judaism, I think about my mom. So I'll be talking about my mom a lot. Something else that I realized while going through my poems for today is that a lot of my Jewish poems are really heavy. So I'm just going to say, like, take care of yourself if you have to leave. It's much easier than at like another event because you don't have to actually get up and leave a room, but like feel free to turn off your screen if you have to. You can always come back, but you also don't have to come back. Thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna wait just a second, let a couple more people join us before I get started with my poem. All right, I'll start with my first one. I am bringing my mother into this live stream with me tonight because I would not be in this live stream without my mother. And not just in a she birthed me, so here I am kind of way. I remember the night of my very first poetry slam, she picked me up because I was still too young to bus home alone that late at night. She pulled up, I pulled out $50 from my pocket, told her, look, Mom, I won. The smile in her eyes, the look on her face. She always supported my poetry from the very first day, and I would not be on this stage or in this live stream if it weren't for Leah Weinstock. Mom, I'm sorry for mistreating your pride in my poetry. Going out to parties, telling you they were slams because I knew that way you wouldn't care how late I stayed out. You trusted me to be in good hands. And Mom, trust me, I am. So this next poem, and some exciting news, recently got published on Button Poetry. So if you want to hear it again, feel free to head on over to youtube.com/buttonpoetry and check it out. In Judaism, it is a sin to kill myself. My body belongs to God. So suicide is seen as stealing something that is not mine. And this is not the first time I have been told that my body belongs to a man who has more authority over it than I do. And I'm not saying that God is a man, just that I have to call them one in synagogue when I pray. Hebrew, a gendered language, God, receiving masculine conjugations and masculine congregations. I watch as my girlfriend tries to re-enter an Orthodox Jewish synagogue. Hello. Can people tell me if this is working? It got cut off. Okay, I'm going to turn myself around and give... Just tell me if people are coming in. Anyone?
They just said amazing.
No, I'm in that chat right now. Hello, we're trying to figure this out. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Yeah, maybe coming closer would help with the mic.
I did also window and door, definitely. Billy sent a heart. Billy said I can hear.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to start that last poll over again. Nothing like some technical difficulties to be a real online show. In Judaism, it is a sin to kill myself. My body belongs to God. So suicide is seen as stealing something that is not mine. And this is not the first time I have been told my body belongs to a man who has more authority over it than I do. And I'm not saying that God is a man, just that I have to call them one in synagogue when I pray. Hebrew, a gendered language, God, receiving masculine conjugations and masculine congregations. I watch as my partner tries to re-enter an Orthodox Jewish synagogue after her transition. Gets used to sitting in the back with the girls instead of up front with the boys, but neither of us know where we're supposed to sit. Judaism technically has 6 genders, but we still don't know where we are supposed to fit. A few hours away from where our partner lives, a shooter opened fires at a synagogue in Pennsylvania named L'Simcha, Tree of Life, becomes a burial ground for bullets, Not even synagogue is safe. Isolating women to the back of the shul, removing non-binary existence from our scripture. The Hebrew word for female rabbi is rebetzin, but a dictionary will tell you that it means rabbi's wife. My mother, though. My mother took me to a Reconstructionist cover-up, taught me that rules are made to be played with, that women are allowed to be rabbis, that my body belongs to myself and no one else. My mother's legal assisted death is a Jewish Schrodinger's casket, except there is no lid to take off the box. My mother both did and did not kill herself. She always was one to fuck around with God. So, when I think of remembering and my queer identity, naturally I had to include this next poem. Dialectical behavior therapy, aka DBT, a form of therapy designed to help people suffering from mood disorders. So inevitably, when I was 15, this borderline body got sent to group therapy. Now, I'm not saying that I enjoyed group therapy, because it was group therapy. I'm just saying it was the one place I could go every week and be myself and not want to die. These messy adolescents, just as unstable as I, every goodbye as fierce as the next, because we didn't know who would survive till next week. But on the weekends, we'd have sleepovers, just like I always dreamed, meaning they were complete with games of truth or dare and spin the bottle, odd couples sneaking off to explore a body like their own for the first time. To have their body treated like a body for the first time. I remember being surprised when she took off my shirt, and I did not want to hide my scars, wanted her to see more of me. Us, tender, broken hearts, desperate not to break any further, careful not to hurt anyone else. All right. So this is new old shit. Took a couple old poems, smushed them together, thought it would be great for this showcase. This is about having grandparents who are concentration camp survivors and all of the trauma that comes with that. My mother comes from a family of 3 siblings born in 3 different continents. Parents with PTSD from Poland and too many stories of loved ones who didn't survive the war. My mother married 2 Jewish men. When I asked her why, she told me when she was younger, my grandfather sat her down and warned her. If she dated a goy, the first fight they had, he would call her a dirty kike and leave. When I came out as transgender, my mom tried so hard to understand, but told me she was worried this world wouldn't be easy for me. And she was right. But if this world were easy, would I have this urge to fight? And I know where my mother's fear comes from. Us Jews are a family of fluidity, creating rivers with our tears, moods as strong as ocean currents, opinions weigh heavy like anchors, our love flutters in the wind like a sail does. We are a family of secrets, rewriting our history in an attempt to forget it. My extended family refers to my first suicide attempt as my accident. We pretend this is not purposeful, that we do not hate ourselves, that we are not trying to assimilate ourselves. When my mother was 16, her parents forced her to get plastic surgery to get rid of her Jewish nose. They wanted her to be able to walk through this world as a privileged white person, and in almost every way, she did. But as hard as they tried, they could not erase the history of our heritage. And now, swastikas are being painted on bathroom stalls that I am too scared to enter. My friends and I are being yelled at with words Mom taught me never to say. Words I taught her never to say. We learned from each other. Our family is still learning how to carry this trauma without holding on too tight, learning old languages that should have been birthright, learning our history and how to let it exist without rewriting it. Us Jews are a family of fluidity. We know how to grieve and grieve and grieve. I have one more poem for you all. I'm just going to take a second because, you know what, I'm going to talk about it. So when I was getting ready for this set, and I remembered that my mom interviewed my grandparents about their experience in the Holocaust. And years ago, I got sent those, listened to about 10 minutes of it and couldn't get through. And I started listening to them again yesterday, and I got through about 40 minutes. And oh boy, it was intense, right? Like, I'm just, really remembering today. And I think it's good that I did that, because I'm really feeling my Jewish heritage and my ancestors. But reading that poem again after listening to what I listened to earlier, it's just, whew, I feel it. But this is a poem about grief and remembering and family. My mother hated Halloween. Said she didn't understand what was fun about being scared. Her anxiety bringing her more than enough adrenaline. No one wants the trick as much as they want the treat, but we still ask for both anyways. At 13, I realized I was growing up. Said this would be my last year dressing up as anyone but myself. That year I dressed up as grief. Woke up with a eulogy clawing its way out of my throat. Zadie had collapsed in the bathroom. I helped move his body onto his bed until the mortician came to take him to the morgue, and my father, having just lost his own, told me, "Go out trick-or-treating tonight. He wouldn't have wanted you to be alone," so I did. Watched all the kids dressed up as ghosts with the stench of death still on my hands, realized why my mother hated this holiday so much. She had already lost more than enough. Didn't need to dress up as a skeleton to show the emptiness inside of her. Didn't need to dress up as a witch to speak to those who have passed a power I inherited. On Halloween these days, I sit with my mother's ghost, worrying we are the house I used to talk about as a kid, the one with all the lights off, that you hear horror stories about, but now I understand what it is to be haunted, to be left alone, a house that used to be a home while all the kids are going door to door, purposefully avoiding mine. Every time I see children out trick-or-treating, I think of how nice it must be to feel comfortable enough talking to strangers, asking them for the things you need. No one wants the trick as much as they want the treat, but we still ask for both anyways. I asked for both anyways and woke up realizing life is a trick that doesn't always end in a treat. Sometimes it just ends in defeat. Or on Halloween morning, on your bathroom floor, my mother said she didn't care much for celebrating being scared, would much rather celebrate being alive. And most days, I may still wear my grief like a costume that doesn't fit right, but some nights I gotta wrap it around me tight, like my mother's favorite sweater or my grandfather's talit. Remind myself ghosts are not just people hidden under white sheets. Remind myself that my mother hated Halloween, said she didn't understand what was fun about being scared. I don't understand what's fun about pretending to have died. I've tried too many times to make myself skeleton, zombie, or ghost, watch those I love transition into other dimensions. So this year, for Halloween, I will dress up as alive, as myself, as anything that breathes. Maybe this year I'll dress up as a tree to prove to the world that even if my roots are buried in the ground, they're still keeping me alive. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to introduce the next poet now. Who I'm really excited for. They're personally one of my very close friends, so when I saw that we had a show together, I messaged them with all of the excitement in my heart spilling out. I didn't properly prepare for this, so I'm pulling up the event, getting the bio. I am prepared. Audrey Weisberg is a non-binary, queer poet, artist, and POC who has recently moved to Victoria, BC. They are currently majoring in creative writing at the University of Victoria. Since moving to BC in September 2018, they have been featured at Kwantlen Speak Truth, Dead Poets Reading, Mashed Poetics, the Growing Room Festival, and many others. They have competed in the Vancouver Poetry Slam's finals and sacrificed for the Canadian Individual Poetry Slam 6 and Hullabaloo. They have also competed at Voices of Today with the Vancouver Youth Slam team. When they're not cracking cynical jokes, you'll find them longboarding, teaching, and creating every kind of art. I'm also going to mention that they kick ass at karaoke and are also on the festival organizing committee for Voices of Today, doing badass work. All right, take it away, LJ. Thank you, everyone.
Hey folks, it's so weird to not be talking to anybody but to be talking to just myself in this empty room. Thank you, Kay, for the wonderful introduction. Love that so much. And I'm gonna get started with my poetry. Yeah, thank you for having me on this show, or whatever this is. Yeah. So this one is just a little introductory work. It's called Fuck Gender Roles. So this one is called Fuck Gender Roles. To the teachers that indulged my creativity, but not my masculinity. The day I said goodbye to the girl, she begged me not to go. She said she could be everything we'd ever hoped for, even if she never quite completed me. She said that we've shared too much together to move away from each other. Like old houses separate stone from mortar, she said she was fundamental to my broadening shoulders. That to fit my growing frame, I must be smaller. That to be liked, I must be quiet, soundless, cloistered. Even now, like losing an old friend because one of you couldn't figure out how to truly understand the other, the day I said goodbye to the girl, I questioned everything I'd ever stood for. Still unsure if it was social constructs blocking my way ahead or her. Binary waves cut between reality interface with memories of who I am and who I wish to be. I still wish to be a slim, supple body with ruined empathy towards masculinity, but presently presenting as handsome, not pretty. I try desperately not to become the very men who've hurt me, breast still bruised, and those who try to touch and or uphold my unwanted body like the boy in the bedroom. Eyes asking please, mouth asking for one more touch, even as disgust ruptured in my throat, my lungs screaming mercy as he reached for me. My presentation is not a choice. but it protects me. Only sometimes I think it's not about my gender identity at all. It's about the little girl trapped deep inside my body who is still 12 years old and uncertain, as the boy who she thought was her friend reaches for parts of her she didn't know existed. So that's that one. Alrighty, I'm used to everyone like, oh, good job. So here we go. This one is, my parents are upstairs watching, I hope. If they're not, then whatever. But this one is about my family, actually. It's called Family Intersections, and I wrote it for this show. So hopefully it's good. Yeah. My family moved houses in 2018. Left behind a dead cactus in my childhood bedroom. The Israeli flag's blue star still planted in the dusty soil, waving brisk on a chill Ontario wind. Adopted Asian, I have often wondered how I fit into the mold. Adopted Asian with a raised Jewish father, raised Christian mother, 1 sister, 2 brothers, 6 nieces, 3 nephews, countless cousins. I have traveled east to west coast. My mother's family from Nova Scotia, my home now, British Columbia, yet I am a visitor. No matter how I spin my story, I am a visible immigrant. No matter how I grew up playing grounders, that I know to dip my toes in the lake before I put my shoes on. Dirt caking my callous soles remind everyone I grew up in Eastern Ontario because I still end my sentences with A sometimes. But no matter how much I rust myself golden in the BC summer sun, visit oceanside cousins, dirt-packed country roads, I am still, where are you from? What do your parents do? Your English is so good, even if I've lived in Canada for 20 years, 3 months, I am defined by the 10 months I spent as an outsider in my previous country. Chinese adoptee. No papers, no citizenship. Even if I only speak English, even if I never knew how Mandarin tasted, when I skip syllables, mangle my mother tongue when presented with the language, I divide myself between 2 nations. One which has my loyalty, my memories, my family, my future vocation, and one which birthed me but left me with nothing. My birth parents' faces as foreign as I am to white frat boys at a small-town Ontario party. So I grasp my bitter language, yank my tongue from its socket, set it loose to run electric through fields of Napanee corn, sprint eclectic through Metro Vancouver streets. I gather my pieces of language from my old house at 105 Gore Street, piece together memories I once took for granted. My only Hebrew, the traditional Hanukkah prayer, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu, my minimal Mandarin, Ni Hao, Shir Shir, my Christmas carols. And I deck the halls with my mixed-up memories, discard sentences like, ew, are those worms you're eating? And string up stories, such as, we gave you your father's name, Weisberg, so you knew you were part of the family and always will be. Frame pictures like, my mother and father holding me in the orphanage for the first time. My nieces and nephews diving into Lake Ontario, head first, splashing, sputtering, laughing, later sharing popsicles by the water, screaming when dock spiders crawl between our flip-flops. My eldest brother, living in Jerusalem with his 8 children in quiet patience. My vegan sister, her parading menagerie of animal friends, a constant accompaniment to our conversations. My youngest, crassest brother, who offered a place beside him during football games, let me watch him swear at the TV. I didn't know I was supposed to fit in. I wasn't supposed to fit in. But did know the minutes spent with my eccentric all-ball family were important memories to reach for, to hold on to keep. Glimpse through a summer screen, set to the tune of a loon call over a mirror lake, the tic-tac of a fast freight through Kingston on distant tracks. My family holds me close, so I know, across the country, through borders, over oceans, no matter where I am, I can call it home. Alrighty, so then I clap for myself, and I go on to the next one. Oh, by the way, I still have the Jewish flag, and I have a new cactus now, and it's doing very well, so I'm very proud of myself. I don't have green thumb usually, so this is like remarkable. Must be BC, everything grows here. Anyway, this last one is for my friends who I miss a lot in Vancouver since I moved to Victoria. I miss y'all so much. Everyone who's watching who's my friend from Vancouver, I love you, I miss you. And this one is for you, I guess. So, it's like called Good Friends Gone to Dust, but y'all are still here, so that's fine. Okay? I love you. So, Good Friends Gone to Dust. I miss them. The sharp, jaded artists, grinning mischievous from their balconies, tongue-tied with glee at barricading bad businesses, betting their identities against binaries, shoplifting trinkets from souvenir shops in Metrotown. I miss them. The people who would take me on late-night car rides to buy bongs on Commercial, to joyride skateboards through our Arbutus Greenway back trails. The ones who would cut my hair for free if I gave them a puff from my inhaler to soothe their smoke-scorched lungs. I miss them. So I draw lines on local maps, circle places I will visit with them when the world spins into motion again. When the pigeons flock with pedestrians over Metro Vancouver sidewalks, when universities, malls, high schools spring wide for the fall semester. Until we can build up the world with our tongues and break systems down with our shattered voices, I miss them. So I take a straight edge to boxes, build up the cardboard flora lush and imaginary dog parks, light up crowded cities with 2 strings of Christmas lights in my small apartment. I reenact crashes along creased edges of cardstock, create small figures smoking tight-knit between cracks on paper sidewalks. I miss them. So I paint galaxies into potholes on watercolor paper, eat potato chips, watch Netflix until the liquid evaporates, then put pen to paper and sign my name across suburban boulevards. I miss them. So when I lucid dream, I go anywhere I please, back through a maze of memories, summer camps, summer songs around simple campfires, early mornings in bitter winter with a warm cat, a fir tree in the living room. I miss them. All while the apocalyptic landscape creeps closer, vivid in the corners of my vision. At my darkest, everything familiar is torn away to reveal a stranger's face. In these end times I search silent in my sorrow. Something intangible lost in the gathering dusk. In the drains of starlit country roads my city bones wither, liquefy and dissolve aquamarine into my sunset paintings. I miss them. So I wait until the room stops spinning. The walls stop shivering until the world outside my room warms with the sun. Until I'm not motion sick from spinning circles in my kitchen alone at midnight. While the streetlights watch like sentinels. It's so strange to be doing this in my totally empty apartment when my mother watches upstairs. I love you, Mom. I'm on TV. Hi. Okay, I'm gonna pass the mic, metaphorical mic, back over to, oh shoot, I can't remember the name. And we will do a final goodbye. So thanks for watching, folks, and, oh, my phone is so hot. Take care, alrighty? Talk to you later.
Hello again. I hope you enjoyed hearing Kay Kassirer and LJ Weisberg tonight. I'd like to give a shout out to the JQT Dream Team, especially our very own Angelica Paversky for organizing an incredible lineup of artists for our events this month. And of course to our neighborhood small grant supported by the Vancouver Foundation and Kit's House. If you enjoyed tonight and would like to help JQT continue to run more events like these, and to help us keep our projects going, such as On the Record, the BC Jewish Queer and Trans Oral History Project, which we are doing in partnership with the Jewish Museum and Archives of BC, to hear the stories of older Jewish, queer, and trans adults and their lived experiences in BC's Jewish and LGBTQ communities over the decades, then we ask humbly, if you are in a position to give, to consider donating to JQT Vancouver. Every dollar counts. You can e-transfer your donation to jqtvan@gmail.com. We hope to give tax receipts in the near future as we are yet to become a nonprofit. At any rate, thank you for your support and for tuning in.
Catch you all here again next Sunday at 8 p.m. Happy Jewish Queer Trans Heritage Month.